Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming in your ear holes.
October 1st, we smash it 10 yards tonight. The buck we call Pickles. A south wind pushing us back to the zag.
Got her stand on our backs.
Set it out and see what happens. You on it?
Huh?
Got the air going out of me.
Absolutely drilled him.
And boom, he's that good buck.
Go get my buck, and then we're gonna go get Homey's buck.
Urban piece as hell.
Got him. Pickles is dead.
Kevin Gates, both kills on hanging hunts.
My first public land buck.
Nice work, dude.
Look at that. Triple brow on the right.
I'm digging that.
Bucked out October 28th. An absolutely incredible season.
Here we go.
Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming in your ear holes. And I got a whole earful of Homey this episode.
Yeah, buddy.
He's going to be absolutely cramming your earful as he's going to be stomping on that son of a gun with so much knowledge that he's going to be spitting right now. We've been doing this podcast like 5 years, and I don't know why, but I just had a revelation. Like, we've done episodes with us just like talking back and forth, but I've never interviewed Homey, and he's never interviewed me as like a legit, like Homey's a guest coming on the podcast. So this is what I normally do. Oh, how you doing tonight, Homey?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing real good.
To kind of open it up, get her flowing. So go ahead and give a brief introduction of who you are. We'll do that in a minute. But if this is the first time listening to this show, we appreciate you showing up. And we're going to get into the people that make this possible. And then we're going to get into Homey picked a few topics that he's passionate about and he wanted to chat about that he think could be valuable for our listeners. And we're going to run through those, and hopefully you guys enjoy it and get to learn a little bit more about Homey in this episode, because that's what it's about. Get to know a little bit more about him. We're going to start off with Ride On Optics, guys. They sent us 3 scopes. I've been monkeying with a 4x12x50. And I'm going to put that on my muzzleloader, and I'm going to try to, I got an LR long range muzzleloader. I'm going to try to stretch that thing out and see how it does at 200, 250. I do see a mule deer hunt in our near future. So having that 200-yard range on a mule deer hunt is going to be epic. You know, being able to go out there with a muzzleloader in Nebraska was kind of our plan, I think. It's kind of our first mule deer. Grant had went out there with Jake from Exodus, and Last Breath, they put out a video. They had a hell of a time out there, shot a whitetail and 2 giant mule deers, in my opinion, like really, really solid mule deers. If I shot either one of those, I'd be jacked.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Really excited to have a really good optic on my muzzleloader now. I bought that muzzleloader, had some problems with the optic I have. Now I have an optic with Ride On that I don't have to worry about for the rest of my life. I got a lifetime warranty with it. Put that sucker on there, and if it's messed up, I get another one in 72 business hours. So I'm guaranteed for the rest of my life to have an optic that's made in America by a veteran and not have to worry about it ever if it breaks. So it's a one-time wonder, as I like to say. You get it, and you spend the money, and now you're done. So if you want to learn about more on them, check out rideonoptics.com. All right, you got Next Level?
Yeah, guys, Next Level is now slinging the spring and summer feed. It is available and for you to purchase, and you can get a customized pallet delivered to you guys from them. Just call them and let them know what you guys want. And just like they're asking for dealers that run, the deal their feed out of the, your garage. Nate and Scott are just, a couple normal guys, just like Cody and I, just like the guys from the Last Breath crew. Just like probably you listen to this, just a normal dude. Couple normal guys who have just started, who have a passion for deer nutrition and providing actual high quality ingredients to a herd of deer. And they're just a couple guys that enjoy that and actually started something. So it really mean a lot to Cody and I if you guys mentioned us, if you did get in contact with them and supported their business.
All right, you got Exodus trail cameras.
Yeah, so Exodus. Sorry about last week, guys. A little mix up there on the intro, but there is still a couple days left for the first time ever that Exodus is offering their trade-in program for this month of March. You guys can trade in any old Lift 2 or Trek and lock in $100 off a new render or a render bundle. You can go to their website and use the code TRADEUP, all caps, and get $100 off of your new camera. They're going to send you the shipping label for your new camera, and then you ship in they're going to send you the shipping label, and then you ship your old camera, then you'll get your new camera. I'll put the link to that in the podcast notes, and the directions are on their website. The one thing that I really love about the render, the Exodus cell cam, is that it's customizable, and it's not just like your generic 5-second delay, 10-second delay. The settings are down by individual increments. So it's literally customizable to every single scenario that you could put that camera in. And it's also backed by that 5-year no BS warranty on theft and damage. So you guys are going to get a hell of a camera, and you can save a little bit of money if you're going to trade in an old Lift 2 or that old reliable Trek, man, that we love.
All right, that's it, right?
One other thing, we are on the Last Breath crew for another year.
Yeah.
We did make the cut. So props to you for doing that. We do have a couple codes for you guys that we are going to be shouting out here. One is going to be for Underwarmer, and that's just going to be Last Breath. And then we also have a code for Outdoor Edge, and that's going to be LBTV25. I'll put the websites with the codes on the podcast notes from here going forward. And we also do have a Badlands code that you guys can message us, and we will get you a pretty good amount off of your Badlands order for this year, just like we did for most part of the last year, I believe, too. So appreciate them guys putting in the work, and this is a way for that they give back, and they've allowed us they've extended the offer to us to give it to you guys as well. So pretty cool of them to extend that out.
Yeah, and it's good for the listeners to get, if you want to buy something, there's no prompt to buy anything. It's just like, hey, I want a new Badlands jacket. Why not save a third of the price, using this code? And that's something we can do for you guys. And same thing with the Outdoor Edge. I love that replaceable knife blade in Missouri. Is like stat, man.
Yeah.
Grandpa's like, "You want me to sharpen that thing?" I'm like,
I know.
Good, man.
Grandpa, it ain't
Gotta
work like
replace it,
that.
ready to rip. Yeah.
Ain't got time for that.
So this is the Homey episode. So I want to take a kind of a skit from the Last Breath crew, shout them out. I wrote down some would you rathers earlier. I didn't tell you about them.
I was actually thinking about just springing some on you when we did yours too.
Oh yeah. Well, we can do it. I had these wrote down earlier in my notes. But just for the listeners that don't know who you are, or maybe that they listened for a while, do a brief introduction of who you are and kind of, what we've been doing hunting the last 5 or 6 years. It as quick or as brief as you can without getting crazy.
So 32, live here in Illinois, got a wife, been married coming up 10 years in May. Got a boy who's 5, got a younger boy who's 3, Aiden and Hoyt. Working for the railroad, I met Cody in 2014. That was actually just about 8 years ago and 5 days ago. So 8 years and 5 days ago, Cody and I met. We really just kicked it off, and then we decided one day that we're going to start a podcast, and here we are. And then the last, obviously doing this, we kind of have made our own path, going our own way together. And you've kind of got me into this new method of how to hunt deer and be mobile. I feel like every time we're in the woods together, I learn something from you, and that's something that I'm very appreciative about. And just tagging along with you, is the majority, I think, of my gain as a hunter. So I'm very, very fortunate for that. And I've hunted public since I've started hunting with you, and done a lot of stuff outside of my normalcy growing up that I really enjoyed. So it's been a hell of a ride, and I'm ready for whatever the future is going to bring us.
Yeah, I had some notes of some stuff that I've seen you improve over the past 5 years, and I'll probably throw that at the end of the episode as we're kind of wrapping up. But just for the would you rathers, we're going to start out with an absolute banger.
Okay.
So 132-inch buck the next 3 years,
Okay.
or a 190 next year, but then a 4-year dry spell.
I'm going the 132s.
Man, damn. That's crazy. Yeah. Whew. Yeah. I mean, 130 is big. You know, I mean, 4-year dry spell. That's hard. Bro.
Yeah, the 4-year dry spell, that's hard. We talk all the time, like an actual 132, like that's a solid, I mean, it's solid, you know?
That's respectable for sure. So, okay. Second one, acorns in October or beds in October?
The last 2 years, beds. The 5 years before that, acorns. And the last two have been better.
All right. Best time, in your opinion, to shoot a doe? Time of the year?
Anytime you go out.
That's what I like.
Hell yeah. Cody's out there November 1st, like, hey, man, you can shoot that doe right there if you want. I'm like, hell yeah, where's she at?
Yeah. I'm like, we're gonna lose this lease, man. Just murder.
Yeah.
Whatever you gotta do.
You're like, I was just gonna see if you're actually gonna shoot her. Like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tempt me with a good time, bud.
Yeah. There's like 5 of them. I'm like, okay, you gonna shoot her? You're like, yeah, okay. I'm like, all right, yeah. Here we go. It's great going on a doe hunt because you're like, man, I high chances of actually shooting something.
Yes.
There's just that sense of jackness. I'd be like, I'm probably gonna shoot something tonight. Like, I'm not just gonna have to watch stuff walk by.
I know.
So you wrote down some topics that you want to talk about that you've learned over the last 5-6 years. Like I said, I wanted to do this episode because we have guests on and we talk a little bit. I feel like I'm always talking on the show, and I want to give you a chance to really talk about stuff that you wanted to talk about. It lets our listeners learn a little bit more about us, kind of what we got going on in our head. And then also, I'm probably going to learn some shit by the end of this episode that I didn't know. You know what I mean? Because we hunt together, but a lot of times we have ideas and we spin them back and forth, but you can only choose one idea. And we got a 50-50, whether it's yours or mine, you know what I mean? So it's hard to, a lot of times if it's your hunt, I'm like, all right, what do you want to do, man? This is what I would do, but what do you want to do?
Yep.
And we go from there. So go ahead and start off with kind of whatever you want to talk about, and we'll rip right into this.
So, like Cody said, I got, 3 things here that just, want to spitball about really. And nothing like groundbreaking, but, just really like hunting down to the core values is kind of what it relates back to. And the first thing is just shooting what makes you happy. And a lot of people say that, and I don't think that they actually kind of go out and practice it. And for whatever the reason is like, you just can't give a shit what anybody thinks. And as Cody and I get older and our families mature, Cody's still adding to his family, and my family's pretty well set, but my kids are getting older. Like tomorrow, I'll never have a kid as old as I do tomorrow. And it's going to be new challenges. It's going to be new experiences. And when you get to that point, like, it's just, you get in your own little world, and the outside, everything, all the noise on the outside doesn't matter. And that's just kind of like our mindset. And you can really apply that to hunting, because it shouldn't matter what you shoot. If I shoot a 100-inch buck or whatever the case may be, it doesn't affect you 99% of the time at all. Now, obviously, we have a different thing going on here because we hunt together, but say I'm talking to you at a backyard barbecue, it ain't going to mean shit. if I shoot and I'm 4 miles away even, the chances of you probably seeing that buck are very, very small. And that's almost the bottom line to it. But Cody and I have both shot small deer. And it's been since we've done this podcast. We both have shot small deer. We didn't downplay it by any means. We were just like, oh, yeah, this is what it is. And I tell you what, like, it's just another learning experience. And you got to learn something, whether it's on the blood trail or shot placement or whatever the case may be. You got to learn something that buck did, like how you set up for that hunt. You got to learn. And it's just another notch on your belt. And it might not be huge gains in knowledge, but you can still take that and apply it moving forward. Another reason to shoot what makes you happy is our Missouri hunt this year. That hunt to me is like top in the fun category. Go down there, no expectations, literally just shooting whatever we wanted to shoot and have a good time. Going down there that's what it's all about. It's going down there, having that family connection, being able to kind of hunt as a group, and just sit back and not have like the stress of like the big one. It's got to be the big one. It's got to be the one I'm after. It's got to be the one I got the sheds off of. It's got to be the one that I had 89 pics of. It's just going out there and having fun. And I think I like where the state of hunting is now, but I wish there was more of the fun aspect into it, just like that hunt. I'm not saying that we don't, try to go after big deer, or we don't try to, saying that we don't have a hit list by any means, but I will say these last 2 years I've put in a lot of effort in the fun category, and it's been a shitload of fun. And also, shooting what makes you happy is there's some guy out there with 87 deer on the wall, and if you think for a second that all of them are 150s and above, there's some 120s out there. There's some 115s on there. He's probably got a whole Euro post in the wall full of 80 and 90 inchers out there. And I guarantee if you went in there and you seen his man cave and it's all set up sweet, you would look at them Euro mounts and you'd be like, man, that thing looks pretty cool. And it's got, 8 Euros on there, but nothing probably over 110. And that's like his learning curve right there pretty much. So everybody who's a big deer killer now has killed small deer and had a stage where they shot whatever they wanted. And just like I was saying, like, it's the process of hunting. It's the learning curve. You got to get out there. You got to kill some deer, and you got to have some fun while you're doing it. So let's see. Yeah, just don't get wrapped up in, every year it's big buck, big buck, big buck. And we did that a couple years, and last year we kind of changed gears a little bit. And if you do go after a big buck, and like that's your goal, and it's good to have goals, and eventually, maybe it don't happen 2 years in a row, you're eventually going to want to shoot something. And then that's when you can kind of switch to that mindset of the outside noise doesn't mean shit, and then you can kind of just go out there and do your own thing. And then when you shoot a 130 or a 125, you're gonna be like, man, dude, yeah, you're gonna have that. You're gonna revisit them feelings of accomplishment and realize how fun it was shooting that deer, being able to eat that meat. And whether you get a look at the mount on the wall or a Euro mount, or in 10 years you're gonna be able to look back at pictures or pictures with your kids, and you'll be glad that you did end up pulling that trigger. And I have yet to regret shooting one of the bucks that I've ever shot. And then there's also this.
Oh, go ahead.
One last one here on this one. There's also the stigma of, if I shoot a buck, I gotta post it on social media and all the haters out there and this and that. And you know what? Like, you don't have to post it. If you're scared of them comments or whatever, you don't have to post it. But I feel that you should want to post it. And you know, I feel that you should. And just like I said at the beginning of this, what they say doesn't mean anything. It's your deer, and it affects them zero, and everybody can just move on. So that was kind of my spiel there on shooting what makes you happy.
All right, I got a few takeaways from that. I think not both of us, but I mean, we both killed our biggest bucks to date since we've had the podcast. And then we both killed some of the smallest bucks we've ever killed since we've had the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so we've always talked about on here, like we might get to a stage where it's all or nothing, but we were kind of talking about it, and I feel like a lot of people missed the boat on this. You know, if you don't have kids and they're not going to start hunting anytime soon, and well, I got 10 more years to hunt. You know, if I miss 2 or 3 years of kills, not a big deal. In our mind, our kids are going to start hunting soon. We're going to be putting a lot of work into that. Your wife's hunting. You're putting work into that. Like, there's stuff that comes up in your life that limits you from the time you have to hunt. And having kids is a huge one. Getting married is a huge one. You know, having a career job like we got, that's a huge one, where you can't take, like, it's hard for us to just be like, oh yeah, Tuesday's good, we're going to take it off. Like, our job, it just doesn't work like that. We got too much shit. We got like a list of shit, and it has a time, you know, and if the shit ain't done, then someone's coming knocking, like, all right, man, we're going to start cracking heads. So you don't want to get head cracked. So I feel like taking the opportunities that present yourself, you know, to you is more important when you get to kind of the stage that we are, you know, and hopefully we live to be a ripe old age and we're hunting when we're 70. I mean, we still got a shitload of bucks to kill. Mm-hmm. So if I'm 45 and now I'm saying, okay, I'm shooting a booner or nothing, hopefully I still got 20 years of just chasing booners.
Right. You
know, and that gives me 15 more years of just trying to shoot bucks. You know, everybody wants it right now. They think, I got to be a booner killer right now. But if you look at the guys that are thinking that way, 90% of them are 40 and up. I mean, like, the real killers that kill giants every year are 40 and up. Because this game, there's 2 ways to do it. And I'll be honest with you, like I've said it multiple times. You can have really, really good ground. Some people are just blessed with really, really good ground. When I had the Tina lease, I was blessed with really good ground. I was an okay deer hunter that understand deer movement a little bit enough to get in front of them. But there's a lot of bucks out there. So I killed a lot of bucks. Like, it was, it's just how it went. Or you put enough time in that you kind of get an idea what you're doing, and then the shit gets easier. And I'm going to talk about this on my episode, but I almost think it's more of a mindset than the actual learning of the deer. It's like a mindset in your head that you're like, okay, this is where I need to be. You just know, you know, and you feel confident of what you got going on, and you understand that the time is right. This is the time of year. It's happened. You know, I've been doing this for 20 years and I need to be here. And it's just a mindset, you know where you need to go, and you're confident enough to do it, that because you know you can pull it off. But second thing, you said no one really cares about what you shoot. Like, to be straight up honest, when you kill a deer, if you post it, like, we got friends that kill deer, like Wayne, he's out there just slaughtering bucks, had a hell of a year, multiple different states. And was he shooting absolute giant deer? No. But dude's out there having the time of his life killing bucks. And did that affect our life or change our life at all? When a lot of people would be like, dude, why are you killing so many small bucks? Like, there's no reason to even say that, because how does that affect you at all?
Zero.
Like, you're judging someone that is hunting in a different state than you because they shot a smaller buck than you. So you're like, you're sitting there like, it makes zero sense to even act like it matters, other than to say, hey man, congratulations. Like, that's literally the only thing that matters, is that guy's happiness. And if you're so small that you have to comment something to steal his happiness, to make him feel less of what he's done, then that's on you. Like, that guy didn't do anything wrong. He got a tag. He legally killed the deer that he wanted to kill. We hear it every year nonstop, and it's the same people that always gripe about, well, you're hurting the deer herd, you're hurting the deer herd. But the people that say that still kill nice bucks most of the time. But a lot of them have to have an excuse those years that they struggle or they didn't get it done. And I feel like that's what it is. Well, if this guy over here wasn't killing 100-inch bucks, then I'd have a better shot.
Absolutely.
If that's the case, if you've killed him in the past and he was killing 100-inch bucks back then, you're still out there. Just got to put the work in. And literally nobody cares. Like, once you post that picture, people are going to be like, oh, he killed a buck like that. I mean, 5 years down the road, people aren't going to remember what the hell. No one really cares what you got going on.
No,
And then you said learn something, and I feel like that's the most important thing. Like, every deer has a blood trail, no matter what the size is. You got to make the shot. You got to track the deer, and you only get to do that stuff after you kill. Like, how long do I wait? What did he do after I shot him? How was the shot placement when you walk up there and look at it? Was he big as you thought he was? That's something that I had a problem with last year. Like, in the tree to on the ground, I don't know what was going on in my head. Dude, shit was bigger than it was, and that's just stuff that you don't get to do until you kill them. You only get to walk up on so many bucks, and learn that shit. So I like that topic, and I feel like it's talked a lot, but not like people just mention it and basically yell at the haters, but they don't explain why they feel that way. So I think that was good to bring up.
All right, you ready to move on here to topic 2? All right.
Yeah.
So topic 2 is how being a mobile hunter has helped me become a better hunter. And, really here in the last, we'll just say 4 to 5 years, the mobile game has really picked up due to some newer technology, some newer equipment coming out, and people getting their hands on it, trying it out. Just like hunting public's becoming a little more popular than it was, 5 to 10 years ago. And one thing that being a mobile hunter, I think, makes you do it is it makes you take in the whole picture, because each hunt can be so different than the last one you had, even though you might not be that far from where you were, or you could be on a totally different end of the property, or even on a totally different property altogether, and you're not going to the same spot. And in order to have an idea of where you want to go, you have to be out there and rely on your scouting and see what the deer are doing, hopefully to some degree. And when you get to that point, you have to start thinking about, like, where's he bedding, where's he feeding at, in the rut, the doe bedding. And it's not just, oh, my buddy put a stand up over here and I'm going to go sit in it. It really makes you take in all of the factors of what a big buck or what a deer is doing in general. And you got to, start kind of dissecting some shit a little bit. And Cody knows this about me. Like when we get, some trail cam data or stuff, like if we start getting a deer on there, a little regular, like, he's been hanging around, like I'll kind of geek out on, the barometric pressure, the wind speed, the direction. We usually got a general idea of where he's going and where he came from. But then, sure as shit, as soon as you think that, like, wipe that plan out. But just going out there and having, like, an open mind about what a deer could be doing in particular, and trying to, just like Cody said, try to get in front of that deer when he's there. Something that I didn't really think about too much when I wasn't a mobile hunter, just like, okay, this spot looks good, throw a stand up, and then you're just kind of like married to it, I feel like. Especially if you get a ladder stand up in there somewhere, or, the sticks are clanging around. You don't want to be moving that shit really in season. And then, you're taking more notes in the off season, for like trees to hang, and noting other hunter sign if you're on public. Maybe you have to share a giant property with somebody. Like, there's just so many more things that you can look at and learn from, instead of just going out there and knowing that you're going to be on the corner of this cornfield. Like, well, maybe you need to be 50 yards in there because the deer's going to hang up 80 yards in there, and then now you're 30 yards away and you're in the game. The other hunter sign is like, you can see the tree marks of where the hunter was climbing up with the climber, or where his sticks grabbed a tree. And I guess that's more of a public thing, but you're like, okay, you got to keep that shit in your mind, because you roll out there on October 10th and a dude could beat you back there and be sitting in the tree, and you forgot that a hunter was in that area. And then now your hunt is all jacked up because you didn't mark that tree, or, that area that a guy's been back in there. And, we've talked about this before too, is like, how savage do you be, But, I feel like the first few times I cut everybody a break and just get the hell out of there. And, you got to kind of start looking at people in the parking lots a little bit, like what vehicles are there. And, like, okay, I went back here this time and, nobody was back there, and there was a red truck and a blue car. So just stuff like that. And realizing that deer change patterns throughout the year and change their habits. Of course, we know the rut's going to be crazy. One thing that growing up hunting I didn't account for was that, the deer are going to be on acorns in October, just like we were talking about here at the beginning. Didn't really know anything about, the food sources changing throughout the year. Obviously, it was just like kind of more shotgun hunting until I was about 15, 16, and got into bow hunting. But I tell you what, a sit on October 5th is totally different than a sit on November 5th or December 5th. And it's just so much more, I feel like, being tactical in the early season. And if you're not even thinking about it, like, yeah, you're out there and you can get it done, but your chances of getting it done are slimmer. And I feel like in October, shit changes so much that it changes so fast. Even if you missed a week, say if you didn't get a hunt during the week, from one weekend to the next weekend, your whole approach to a hunt could be totally different. First thing you're hunting beds, and then you're hunting acorns, and then next thing you know, you're hunting scrapes. And that shit happens quick, especially when you're a younger hunter. Or I feel like my weeks now just fly by because I'm in such a routine of everything. Go to the gym, go to work, come home, supper, play with the kids, shower, bed, and just do that. And when you, just like Cody said, when you work 10 hours a day, days are just flying by here. So if you can't get out during the week, next thing you know, it's Friday again, and you're like, oh shit, it's October 27th. Maybe time to get on that scrape that I noticed here this last week get really hammered. And then, just like I said there, stop trying to be one step behind. And I felt like every time that I would go out and scout, the property I grew up hunting, I would get that intel and I would feel like I had a good game plan for the upcoming year, but that shit would just shift enough to where I would be off or something, and that buck would skirt me, or just like we always say on here, we're really good at getting within 80 of a big deer, just can't get him within 30. And that was kind of my mantra growing up, really, is just I felt like that one step behind, or not hunting like them right days. I was just going hunting because I had time to be going hunting, and then I would burn a spot up, or be in there when really probably shouldn't have been in there. And now we're out there, we're getting the intel, and just like Cody said, it takes time to really get a feel for it, and we're still getting a feel for it. I'm still getting a feel for it, and getting in front of good solid bucks, and and having, like, the last 2 years to start the year, like, my hunts in October are just literally on the edge of killing every time a buck that we have some sort of ideas in the area. And I tell you what, being mobile is adding to that factor. But within, I wish I would have wrote this down, Cody, but I want to say, I don't know how many times I hunted in October, but I wanted to say like 10 or 11 of those hunts in October, we either saw the deer that we wanted to shoot, or he showed up on camera within a half hour after shooting time. And we just might not have been like right in that area, but we were either on that property or like in that little section, I guess we'll say. Like, I mean, we're in the chips there to get it done. And being mobile, moving around, is allowed us to have hunts like that and have a high expectation going into a hunt. And it's added a lot of excitement to it. And, it makes you want to be out there even more and hunt even more, and, learn even more every time that you go out there. So that's kind of how being mobile has helped me become a better hunter here in the last, 3-4 years.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from that is, I think we've said it before, but one of the biggest keys, I think, being mobile is the game's slower. Like, you don't have a set spot in your mind that you're going to get in a tree. And I don't care what someone says. If you're going in the evening and it's 2:00, right? And you're like, I mean, I got plenty of time. Deer aren't going to be out till 5 or whatever. When you're walking to that tree, you're not scouting. You're walking as fast as you can, taking the quickest possible trail, that you're not bumping deer. You're not looking around, getting your scent anywhere. You're beelining straight for that area, and that's where you're going to set up. Mobile hunting's different. You're going slower. You have an idea where you set up, but you don't have a destination. There's no, like, there might be a destination in your mind, but it can be literally anywhere. So when you're kind of cruising through there, you're going slower, you're looking at shit. Oh, this looks good. Oh man, I could get in this tree right there. And then you're like, well, maybe I try this. Maybe I don't try this. You got to make decisions. And that's why I think when you take the step from hunting like you used to being a mobile hunter, the learning curve just starts shrinking by years, years, because you're not only hunting different places, you're making more decisions. You're not saying, all right, I got 5 stands. This one's good for this wind. I'm going there. You got ground and you're trying to figure out where to go. Like, there's so many more decisions, and it's not just where am I going to hunt? It's how am I going to access it? How am I going to be quiet? How am I going to set up in the tree? Are they going to come from the left or the right? Like, there's so many things you have to get right to kill, but you have to do those every time that you go hunting. So how many times, we haven't hung a new set, like a permanent set for, I don't know how long.
I hung one for trailer park, and I hunted it the one time, but
yeah, I mean, we're gonna hang some permanent sets here this year, a couple, but I mean, like, you hang it that one time in a new area, and you're like, okay, and sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not, but you only get one time at that area. Like, oh, this is the spot, I think, and then you go in there and you're either right or you're wrong, and mobile hunting, you do that every time you go hunting. You got to hang, you got to scout the tree. Can I get into this tree? You might learn something new trying to even get the stand up. Like, it's a process that just speeds up your hunting skill wise and choice making. And I think that is, like, legitimately one of the biggest factors to killing these deer is the choices you make on the drive to where you're hunting, or when you're walking in the woods. Like, that's where these deer are getting killed. Like, you're choosing to hang back, you're choosing to go forward. Like, whatever choice you make might be right or wrong, but if you have a preset stand, you're going to that sumbitch and getting it. Like, probably way faster than you should be, making more noise than you think you should be, and you're just trying to get in that stand, get set up in case something happens, and it's just a different game. It's just you're slowed down and you're making all those choices on the fly, and it's just skyrocketing your skill level compared to the other way of hunting, which, if you have ground that's consistent, the other way of hunting is, if you got good stands that are kill trees, man, it's devastating on some properties. I've been there, but the learning curve is longer doing that, I believe. The success rate, maybe not, but just like us, okay, you've been smashing it on these preset stands and you're an absolute killer on these two properties. You lose those two properties, you're not a killer anymore. You can go into something and you might set up like you did on that last property and the shit just ain't clicking. And that's what I've struggled with, for a couple years after I lost Tina. Like, the shit just wasn't the same, wasn't working, and calling wasn't working. You had to be way more strategic where you're setting up, because the deer were spotting me. Like, you could set up 12 foot off the ground and no limb tree out there, and they just walk right past you.
Deer now winding you.
Yeah.
Deer out there don't wind you.
No. Yeah. The deer there just, I swear that people think I'm crazy, but I swear that pig farm being so close and that smell being so strong that it overpowered those deer's noses, and the deer just did not, like, they might win you and check for a little bit, but then they would commit. Like, it is the craziest thing. And I just think that they would just get like a little hint and then just be overpowered by pig shit. They just couldn't. That's like a hidden tactic, I think. Just find a place to buy a pig farm and the fuckers can't smell it. Like, I don't know. But I had deer just walk right through my scent cone. I'm like, I'm a god. I'm a god. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
It is clicking for me.
Kind of what you said there about, scouting on your way in is kind of like what I was talking about, like trying to take in the whole picture of like what's going on right now, and the decision making is like we I don't know how many times we were like, okay, let's get back into this area, into this tree, and we see some radical shit like 200 yards away, and then we're there pondering, whoever hunts it is the decision maker of like, okay, and we'll bounce ideas, and then ultimately the decision is made. And just like you said, it's a process of trial and error, and what's working and what's clicking, and what you've seen from that hunt. And like, I can't get that time when we went in and busted a deer when we're going in to hunt West Side and to pull a trail cam before the hunt. Like, that right there was like cut and dry. decision wrong, you know, and I don't know how many times, probably 8 or 10 times, I've thought about that while we're out there hunting. We have an agenda to pull cams, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we definitely got to do that after the hunt, like, you know, keep the shit prime. And it's all because that one time you failed on the decision, and now you got that knowledge for, you know, not to do it again for the rest of your life.
Yeah, sure. All right. So last topic here
Is talking about gear. Kind of ties in with being a mobile hunter, because, I mean, you got to have some sort of specialized equipment. You're not just going to roll out there. I mean, you can roll out there with a big game if you want to, and, you know, toss that bitch around.
I mobile gamed it on public with that freaking big game and set of sticks. I moved that sucker like 6 times that year when I was on the sunflower buck.
Sick.
And I had the climber.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm going to move this stand over there. And that's when shit was prime, man. God. Nobody out there.
Yeah, nobody. Jeez.
Bucks everywhere, daylighting.
That sunflower buck would have been awesome, though.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Yeah.
So first thing is, I'll just get the whole debate out of the way, is you can use a gun, a bow, a crossbow, you go traditional, use whatever fucking thing you want. If it'll kill the deer, use it, and it's legal, you got a tag for it, you know, the whole bit. Who cares? Use it, and don't think shit about it.
It goes back to that nobody really cares. Like,
nobody. Oh, and
the dike.
Perfect example. The huff buck.
Yeah.
Crossbow buck. How many fucking comments have you heard about a crossbow on that deer? 0, I've heard. I've heard 0. Yeah.
I've heard 0 too.
But everybody loves the deer. That's why I wanted
to have him on, because it was a crossbow kill. We were looking for a legend crossbow kill, and we're like, we want to promote all types of hunting because we don't really give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is a great choice to do it, because the guy is upfront about it too, which props to him. You know, he's like, yeah, it's a crossbow kill. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I like, goes back to that. Like, if someone does care, especially if like they don't even hunt around you, that's just jealousy. That's all. Oh, you shot it with a crossbow. Oh, you shot it with a gun. Like, bro, bow hunting's harder. We get it.
Yeah, but we know.
Why? If I took a bow out during gun season and I had my target buck at 70 yards, just chilling, I would feel like the dumbest, absolute dumbest person ever. Just holding my bow, like running at the fucker, gonna scare him away. Like, what do you do? Like, you're gonna be like, if I had my gun, it'd be over. Like, you're gonna like, and that, if you are a strictly bow hunter, props to you. There's nothing wrong with that either.
No, yeah.
But don't
shit on somebody for hunting with something else.
Yeah,
whether it be a gun or a crossbow.
If it's legal, like, and they shoot the deer and they kill the deer with a gun, guess what? You can't kill it with a bow now. Like, so it's over. You know what I mean? Like, bring that fucker back to mine so I can kill him with a bow. Like, no, it's done. The deer is dead. Like,
yeah.
You can be pissed about it, but you're literally just pissing yourself off, because there's literally nothing you can do. Like, absolutely 0 you can do.
I love the comment about, we know it's harder with a bow. Like, we know it is.
Yeah,
everybody knows.
Like, no one's denying that.
I know.
No one's out there like, oh no, dude, it's, you know, I shot it with 90 yards, but if it, you know, a bow hunter would not have killed this deer. Like, I mean, no one's saying that.
I had magnification on my eyeball. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, like no one's gonna say, like, no one's saying that bow hunting is less of a kill. Like, everybody knows it's still a kill, but we know it's harder with a bow.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, people aren't denying that. They're just, it's hard as hell to kill these things, so they're taking advantage of what they got.
Exactly. You know? So, and Like I feel like there is a plethora of gear out there, and whether you are private land, ladder stand guy, blind guy, gun, public, like there is an assload of gear out there that's come to market and a lot of great stuff. And I think a lot of people get tied up in having that latest and greatest, trinket or equipment. And really what you need to be is you just need to be practical with what you buy. Don't get cute. That's what we've been saying here the last couple of years. Don't get cute. Just be functional. You might not be able to have that $1,000 stand out there. Maybe you got that $400 stand that's a pound and a half more. I mean, that's functional. It fits your budget. So go out there and make the best of it. And then I'll get to that later, but, just be functional, be efficient, be quiet with your gear, and inspect it for safety. Also is use the gear that works for you. Just because Cody has this wicked backpack, don't mean that I'm going to like the backpack, because I have a backpack that is not the best, and I think I'd like Cody's backpack a little more, actually. And that's a change I'm going to make this year, is I'm going to get me a different book bag. And we both know that my book bag is shit. And I thought it was going to work for me, but it doesn't. And you have to have shit that works for you, because the last thing you want to do is be out there. I don't know how many times when, back in the early days of me hunting, is like you're just out there and you don't have necessarily the best shit, but you got shit to get by, and you're just out there fighting it, and just doing that small stuff, it becomes a struggle. So you have to get stuff that, you can work with and be efficient with. And then my big thing also with gear is, if you do want, a new bow, or you want the latest trail cam or whatever it is, like, just budget it out over the year. I know shit comes up, but if you want it that bad, you'll find a way. You'll find a way. I mean, there's side hustle or whatever it takes. Just budget it out and you can have it. And it's not that bow killed that deer and that's why that deer got killed. But maybe it helped. Maybe that arrow got there a little quicker than, your 12-year-old PSE Nova. So, in doing that, if you guys hunt as much as, as you hope to, your shit's going to get worn out and you are going to need some updates. And, that's when you can take that budget into effect. And then hopefully as you get, older and stuff and you got some money, like, then you can get the stuff that you actually want and is functional. It's the whole package. And, I look at things every year at the end of the year. I look at my current setup from A to Z, and I make a note in my phone of like things I'm going to plan on buying this coming year. And I don't even know if season was over, but I'd already bought my stand for this year. Like, that's just kind of how I work and how I operate. And then just like the trendy stuff, it's going back to being cute and being less functional and less practical. And that's really all I got to say about that, because I don't like the cute stuff. Just go out there and hunt your hunt. Like we say that on here quite a bit too, is go out there and hunt your hunt. Don't try to copy anybody else or hunt the way anybody else does, because your deer might be doing something a little different. So just go out there, hunt your hunt, shoot what makes you happy, and just have some fun.
Most of the time, the most simple stuff is the best when it comes to, for me, when it comes to getting out there. Like, I need a backpack with 3 zippers max, like comfortable clothes, a bow sight that's not complicated as shit. Like I need like, and I took a brand new sight and destroyed it basically not destroyed it, but like it isn't what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like it's a 4-pin sight that will never be a 4-pin sight because I did not like it. I'm like, nope, I'm ripping this bitch out. 3-pin sight now. Like it's just, you gotta make shit work. And then when you got good shit, just keep it. Don't you ain't got to change stuff every year if you don't want to. Like if you got solid stuff, don't make it more complicated than you have to, because it's just like you get new shit. And then I was looking at like cleaning out my garage to get all that lumber in there, and I was going through my cabinet and just looking at all this like all the shit that I saved that I have, and I'm like, God, there's a lot of shit that I do not need. Like all the different bow hooks I've tried.
Oh my God.
And I just use like the cheap ass screw in long one now. Like I got the pull strap one. I got the ratchet strap one. I got the 3-hook one. I got the hooks with the hooks hanging down one.
Bro,
I got the little one. I'm like,
you took that one out of that tree in Watauga and used that for like the next 3 weeks.
yeah. I'm like, that I finally got that thing back. It's been up there for like 5 years.
That
like,
red and white one, man.
Yeah, I'm like, this was money back in the day. It's not even a bow hook. It's like a garage pole hanger, like a fishing pole hanger or some shit. Like, this was good 5 years ago. I got out of that tree. I'm like, ooh, this is nice.
Yeah, it's almost like you were looking around your garage going to hunt one time, like, what in here can hold a bow? Oh, hell yeah. All right, here we go.
Yeah. And I got it back. Still got it in my backpack.
Like, I know.
My saw, I found it on the ground on public land. Thing is prime as hell.
It
Rusted as shit. Thing cuts like crazy. I'm like, why would I get a new one? This thing is mint. It's like
so
got just enough loose in the bolt to where it flexes real good. You know, I'm like, this thing is perfect. Like I don't need to buy anything else. Just use what you got. So all right, I'm gonna get into the last 3 would you rathers, and I'm gonna run through a list of shit that I wanted to mention down. You actually talked about some of the shit, some you didn't, that I've seen that you've improved a shitload on from when we first started hunting together to now. So back to the would you rathers. Best day to hunt for the whole entire year.
November 4th.
November 4th. Favorite hunt that you had the last 5 years?
Missouri this past year.
Missouri. Morning or evenings in the rut?
To kill morning, to have a good hunt evening.
All day sit in the rut or a move midday?
Move.
And drink of choice after a successful buck kill?
Lately or ever? Lately, it's been ranch water.
Yeah, ranch water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Down for the agave.
So just a few things that I wanted to mention that I think that you've done a lot better. I feel like it's cool to have this podcast, so I could, say these things about it. We talk about it, but I'm never like this, and this. So for when we first started, when I first started knowing you hunting, and then now, making calls that you have in your head and then actually committing to those calls. I remember back in the buck nest, you were really like, man, I don't want to cross this creek. Like, I don't want to pressure those deer. You didn't want to get access from the neighbors. Like, there's steps that you had to do that you were just kind of putting off. And then you did them and you're like, oh shit, this is working.
Yeah.
You committed. And now those small steps of like, man, I need to go way out here and go around, or I need to go access through this. I need to go over here, get permission. Like it's easy for you now. And before it was hard for you to make those like hard choices or like extra steps to get in the position. And now it's something that you do like real easy. And then being more confident while you're by yourself. A lot of it was like we were together, we were making moves together. Now you're like going off doing radical shit while you're hunting by yourself, going into shit you never been into. And when we first started hunting, that's something, I think it's just because you hadn't been on public land a lot. You were kind of timid at first. And then now you're just like, yeah, I'm going to go over here. You're making moves, you're moving trail cams, you know, and shit like that, where before it would have been like, we would have talked about it and you're just saying, no, this is what I think I want to do. And you're doing it. You're understanding deer and how they work ground better. You still get your north and south and east and west.
It's fucked. It's fucked.
but you're understanding how they work the ground and making the moves to set up on them way easier than they were before. And I believe that's because you're bouncing around more, doing more shit by yourself. You're seeing more deer work. Last year you had a shitload of encounters with deer. You know, I mean, we were all over them. And a lot of it was on calls that you made by yourself. You know, a lot of the hunts, like Pickles was kind of a group thing, but that was, you went in there, made the call on the access, made the hunt, then the Watauga deer that you almost killed, then out on the public piece, you know, you got close out there. You're making calls and you're doing it by yourself. So, and then another thing I want to mention is you're slowing down the game a lot. Even for me, you're saying, hey, let's just think about this for a second, make sure we're making the right choices, weigh out our options, and then go from there. I'm kind of like a full sender, like this is what I'm thinking. And you're like, well, like and you're getting more confident to bring up the wells, because I think you're just getting more ideas because you're thinking about more shit now. You've been in more scenarios than when we first started hunting, you hadn't been in all those scenarios. So you're like, oh shit, yeah, that sounds good. Like you don't know, the shit wasn't moving in your head like it is now. And then your attention to detail, the last few years has been increased crazy. That was, I got that all in caps. Like your attention to trail camera data, remembering stuff, like you're way better at that shit than I am. Like you're understanding, like a lot of times I'm like, yeah, he went over here, did this, and you're like, no, he actually was doing that. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, he actually was doing that. And the shit gets blurred for me, but your encounters are clear. And then putting the data together, you're really good at paying attention to the detail, putting the work together. And then just want to give a shout out at the end of this for all the work you do for the podcast and all the shit throughout the years. The friendship, it's been solid. Do a lot of shit for the podcast and I appreciate it. And that's it, man. You've improved on a lot of other shit, but I was things that really I've noticed and have made me better hunter. But I love seeing you. I love getting a text message like, I'm going in, I'm going to go in here. And I'm like, hell yeah. 'Cause 3 or 4 years ago, like, you would have been like, man, what tree, is there a preset stand in there? Like you wouldn't have been doing that shit. There was just like when we were hunting Tina's, you were like, oh yeah, is there a stand back in the back? Like, I'm like, oh, I want to move it. And you're like, fuck, you want to move it? I'm like, yeah, we got to be across that creek, bro. We got to be over there, And if we wouldn't have made that move, but you're like, you want to move it? It's the rut, bro. I'm like, yeah, we got to move it.
You want to move it and then me come sit here tonight? Like, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Then you have a crazy.
Almost had a hunt of my life.
Yeah, I'm like, we got to move this shit, and then you got to hunt here. Like, the shit is on. And, like, that was, like, mind-blowing for you back then. And now it's, like, stupid shit. So, for me, like, the shit was clicking. But you're right there at my level now because the mobile game shit, it just clicks. And the public land makes you click faster. You're competing with other guys. When you hunt one property, you got like 2 or 3 bucks that you're trying to, you only can see so much shit. But when you're like with us, when you're hunting, like we have this property for 2 or 3 years, we got this property, we're over here, we're hunting this property, we're on this public. There's so many bucks that you're getting shit on, and you're like, man, this deer is radical as hell. This deer is he's daylighting every day for 15 days. Like, I mean, you just realize that like every deer you gotta attack different. And when you're on that private piece, kind of hunt the same way, you're like, this tree, October 12th last year, I seen a giant, so I'm gonna go there. The wind's right. Like it's a completely different deer, but you're hunting the same way and now you're way more confident to make calls. And then like my buck this year probably wouldn't have killed that deer if you didn't make that call. Like we talked about it. I was going to do some stupid shit. And you're like, man, I don't know. And then you said it. I'm like, that's the right call. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was at the gym. I looked at my phone. I was like, grass field. Like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah. Like that's like I said, I get thinking about shit and then I forget about what we got going on. You know, I'm thinking about 38 different spots.
Yeah, I know.
But when you it's good. We're kind of 2 different hunters that merge into the same style, but different ways of getting it done, you know, but you're kind of coaxing towards my side a little bit more every year.
Yeah.
Bring him over to the
Yes.
You're
but
like, oh, what's over there? I'm like, yeah, go check that red out, bro.
Yeah,
one more.
exactly.
When we do my podcast, the fucking one more ridge thing is like, I went the PT spot. We were so close to that last year. We were so close, like 100 yards.
That's stupid.
We were 100 yards from where we needed to be. Then I go back in there again, you know, making the way in there good. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to climb this hillside and scout this 150 yards from where acorns all over. I'm like, if I never would have walked up this hill, I was literally 100 yards deeper. I never would have known. And dude, it's like, you think the top was thick? It's It's like the hot corner for 40 acres. It's just.
Remember we come through like part of that?
Yeah, it's just like, and then that ridge has acorns on it. I'm like, what? Like
just a little nugget back there.
And you're in between the ag. I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I'm really confident about that spot. Like I feel real good. Maybe not kill that deer there, but that, as long as the wind holds true, that's going to be the nail in the coffin. Like we might have to hunt, like the trail I made going in, we might have to hunt like further up that trail to get that wind coming out and not be like where I want to be. But if that wind hold true, man, it's going to be.
I'm saying, because that kind of tees up right there and it's really low. So hopefully. Yeah. But
hopefully like a low wind morning, get some thermals and you'll be solid.
But I agree on everything that you said that I've improved on. I would 110% agree that those things have definitely improved in the last 5 years. And 2 things that not have is keeping track of my release and shot placement.
When you get into the kill moment, you just haven't been there enough. That's all that is, man.
Yeah.
I messed up. And I was thinking about that, and I don't know, maybe like a week ago. And I was thinking about how many times I messed up on turkeys. Like I missed a shitload of turkeys. I messed up on opportunities on turkeys. I had this spot, dude. It was so good with turkeys. And I never killed a turkey off that place. And every time I went, I was on turkeys. Like I missed them with a bow. I missed them with a gun. I spooked them. I don't know how many times. I got caught by a fence. I don't know how many times. Like it was just like ass kicking after ass whooping after ass whooping. And it was just a permission piece that literally you could go there any time of the day and there's a turkey there. It was just like, oh, I got out of school early. I'm going to run up here.
Yeah.
There's a turkey out there in the field. Like it was insane. And in the mornings, it was just like, that was when I had the scare of my life at nighttime out there by myself, like 12 years old, turkey hunting, and probably not even supposed to be out there by myself. Probably needed an adult but I'm out there, got the old single shot 12 gauge that I got as a Christmas present. And I'm sitting there in this dark and the old, I'm like, there's a bobcat because I've been calling, they're gobbling and shit, right? And 3 foot from me, a possum, bro. I'm like, trying to light. I'm like, possum, got me. 12 years old out there, scarred for life. Fell asleep one time and in a tree stand, like a big wooden stand. I was deer hunting and I woke up and I swear that I seen a pig, like a feral pig. And I'm like, holy shit, there's like 3 feral pigs and it ended up being turkeys. And I missed one of those son of guns, like 10 yards with a bow out of a tree stand, shot right over its back. And I was like, it's like the 38th time I messed up on turkey. So I was like, man, I messed up on all those shots, but it wasn't deer. It was turkeys because that's what I was hunting early.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got that shit out of my system and I was like, and then, the deer, I've only had a couple bad instances where, I lost that giant and lost a couple does and shit, but nothing where it's like, I shot one doe one time with a 243 and out there by myself again during rifle season, probably like 16, never found her, hit her right in the shoulder, like should have been a dead deer and never found her. Like, and you remember that shit forever.
Oh yeah.
Even doe.
Yep.
But I had all those mess ups, but I had them so young, like from 12 to 16, 17, like I was out there just missing shit. You get in that moment and panic and and then you get to a point where you've been in that moment so long that it's just like, okay, it's time to
do what
kill.
I do.
And what it takes like some really good kills. Like you kill like 4, 5, 6 deer, you get a good shot on them, you make the shit happen, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, like it's just a mindset. Is all it is. Just like all hunting, it's just a mindset of, I know what I'm doing here, I'm gonna make it happen, and you make it happen. You know what I mean? And that's all it is. But yeah, the release, the 1 year with the release, bro, that was
just terrible.
I got no excuses for that. That was just off
It's dog shit.
Scale.
One thing that helped me last year is having the bino harness. I just slide that puppy right in the side pocket. Didn't have to worry about it at all.
The bino harness that I never carried binos in.
Yes.
Yeah,
got cookies, got peanuts.
I got all kinds of shit in there. No
straps,
binos.
no binos. Talking dog shit about having no binos.
I got, what do you need? Chapstick? Yeah, got it. Extra battery? Yeah, got it. Wind checker? Yeah, got it.
What, the Star
right
Crunch? Yeah, got it.
yeah, all the shit's right there, but no binos in that song.
No binos.
Zero binos in there, but. All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode, getting to know Homey a little bit more. Like I said, I think we're going to do one of these with me, just because it's time of the year where hunting content is kind of shitty for everybody. If you're listening this long, we really appreciate it. You are an absolute diehard bow hunter, or deer hunter, I get in general. If you're listening to deer hunting podcast and in the end of March, 1st of April here. So we really appreciate you guys listening this long, all the way to the end. If you guys ever need anything for us, man, message us anywhere, any social, Facebook, Instagram. We'd love to help you out, talk about deer. You guys support us by listening to this podcast. And literally the only thing we can really do for you guys is, give you a friend to talk to, chat about deer hunting, spitball some ideas. And we really enjoy meeting people that listen to the podcast and helping them out. So like always, try to do the right thing, try to leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy is out.